Welcome, friends. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk UNRWA. I am Mara Kronenfeld. I'm the Executive Director of UNRWA USA. And as always, it's such a pleasure to be with everyone today. And a quick refresher on our program. Let's Talk UNRWA is a monthly speaker series that's live streamed across our channels. And our goal is to provide all of you with an insider view of UNRWA's work. It is also a unique opportunity for you to hear directly from UNRWA staff, mostly who are refugees themselves. And for today's episode, we will be discussing UNRWA's role in the growing tech sector in the Gaza Strip. And we will be joined very shortly by the Deputy Director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza, Ms. Amal Khatib, who is actually having technical difficulties, which unfortunately are not uncommon as people try to connect from the Strip due to various issues with access to electricity, as well as a stable internet connection at times. So we are absolutely hoping that Amal will be able to join us, and I will go ahead and tell you a little bit about what we have planned for both this talk and some other events, some really exciting events UNRWA USA has planned for the end of this month and October 1st, of course. So as many of you know, on October 1st, UNRWA USA is hosting our first Gaza 5K in the Bay Area in California, our first Gaza 5K in that area in 5 years. And because we will be traveling from DC, the epicenter of politics, to San Francisco, the epicenter of the US tech industry, we have decided to schedule several lead-up events leading up to the actual Gaza 5K in San Mateo on October 1st. And we'll be using that opportunity in these events to meet with a range of partners who are equally committed as UNRWA is to supporting the expansion of Gaza's IT sector ecosystem. Gaza actually graduates legions of qualified IT grads, men and women, each year. And remote cloud-based IT work is one of the few high-quality income-generating opportunities available for Gaza's young workforce. Obviously, this is a workforce living under blockade with limited ability to leave and re-enter the Strip. Obviously, external permission has to be received, and this is sometimes very difficult to obtain. And we will be hosting a panel discussion on this very topic on September 29th in San Francisco, which is going to be live and live stream. And if my colleagues are still on behind the scenes, I know they're trying to get Amal on live with us right now, they will post a link to the panel discussion we will have in San Francisco on September 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. And for all those listening, we will be also having catered wonderful Palestinian food from Reem's. And I hope this will just provide another incentive for you to show up live. If you can't make it, we'll see you live streamed. So we should be going forward with Amal shortly, and let me just see if we're having any luck getting her on board. And thank you, Fadi, from joining from California. Nice to see you. Thanks for commenting. And while we're waiting for Amal, let me ask my colleagues if they can show on our screen a picture of the promo for the panel event on September 29th, so I can tell you more about who will be there. So at this panel discussion on September 29th, you will be able to hear from several experts in the Gaza tech ecosystem, and that includes UNRWA's CIO, Chief Information Officer, out of UNRWA's headquarters in Jordan. His name is Khan Sentaturk, and he will be speaking on behalf of UNRWA HQ about the specific role that UNRWA is playing in developing this local IT ecosystem, and both as a convener all the different parties in this area, but also as an educator and actually an employer. So more information on that. And then Amal Khatib, who we'll be speaking with today, inshallah, as they say, will be speaking about directly the work that UNRWA does in Gaza with Gazan young people, both in terms of education and technical training in the IT sector, and as well as helping these graduates locate income generating opportunities, jobs for themselves. And then we are so excited to have Leila Abudahi, who is a co-founder of Manara. Many of you know the organization Manara, which is helping young people in Gaza in the IT industry locate jobs in the IT sector, both in Silicon Valley and, of course, in the European IT sector. And we're very excited to have Leila, who's from Gaza herself, a software engineer herself, joining us for this event. We will also have Obeida Abu Hashem, who is from Gaza, and I am so lucky to know Obeida's family, and so a shout out to Anis Abu Hashem, a longtime friend and the father of Obeida. And Obeida is actually working as a camera engineer at Meta Reality Labs. He will talk about how he got into tech and how he was able to get a job outside of Gaza. And then this session will also include a woman named Zina Oje, who is going to be the moderator, and she is on the board of Tech Wadi in San Francisco, our partner in the whole Bay Area Gaza 5K event. And finally, I will be very happy to offer welcoming notes and talk about what UNRWA USA, UNRWA are envisioning in terms of working with all of the key collaborators in this space to build out this sector. And ultimately, our vision is to provide more opportunities for the young people in Gaza to get jobs in the cloud-based tech sector, getting jobs that they can do from Gaza while under blockade and with very little ability to enter and leave at their will. So let me just check with my colleagues now to see if we're going to be able to get Amal on board now. I'm checking messages, dears. I did not see Amal join. I am looking. Sandra, nice to see you join. Thank you for your comments. If anybody else is joining, we'd love to hear from you and where you're coming in from, and tell us if you're going to be at the Gaza 5K. We would love to see you, and we'd also love to see you at the panel discussion on September 29th. My colleague Diala's put up the bit.ly there for you to join. Who else is listening right now? Tell us where you're coming from. Gaza Strip, no way. I don't think I believe you, my sanitizer, because I think you're across across the office from me. But I know you're from the Gaza Strip, so thank you for joining. Excellent. Anybody else? Thank you for your patience, everybody. Just one of the things we deal with, of course, in Gaza, and you know, I think one of the aspects of working in the cloud-based economy remotely is that there has to be a very stable internet line, and right now there is not. So thank you, Leila. I know you're coming in from DC. Excellent. Let me check if there's any updates. We'll give it a couple more minutes. We had a great discussion plan. If we're not able to do this today, this just is all the more reason why you got to tune in on September 29th, as we will be hearing from Amal directly. And also Amal and Khan will be at the start of the race. They will be actually live and in person at the Gaza 5K, so you'll be able to meet them there. Great. Let me see. Oh my gosh, just in time. I was going to give it a couple more minutes. Amal, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well. I actually signed in using my phone, so I hope that the internet connection will be fine.
Excellent. Oh, we're so glad to have you. What a buildup. This is fantastic. Lovely to see you. And I want to say that with Amal here, we have no stranger to technology. And Amal will tell you a little bit about her background. So if there was trouble connecting, it was some real issues that Amal and our team had to face. So lovely to see you. And as I mentioned before, Amal Khatib is the UNRWA Deputy Director of Affairs in Gaza. And today, of course, we will be discussing UNRWA's unique role in Gaza's tech ecosystem, both as an educational and technical training partner and as an employer, actually, with the IT Service Center. So we're going to want to hear more about that. If you are attending UNRWA USA's Bay Area Gaza 5K next week, as I mentioned, you will have the opportunity to meet Amal in person, as she will be on the stage before the race and there to greet the finishers after the race. So lovely to see your face, and thank you for your time and for being with us and persevering in the face of challenges, which certainly you are no stranger to. Thank you for all your service at UNRWA. And I'd like you first to start out by telling us a bit about yourself, where you grew up, and when did you start working for UNRWA, and some of the roles you've served at UNRWA.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mara, and apologies also from my side for the technical issues, which is quite ironic for the topic that we wanted to discuss. But it is an absolute pleasure to be with you here live, and I really thank the audience for their patience. I hope they are still here, and I just wanted to start by greeting you all from Gaza, which is my current duty station with UNRWA. I was born in Jordan. I grew up in the capital city of Jordan, Amman. And I moved to receive my higher education. I moved to Europe, where I studied engineering and management. And in fact, it was in the field of informatics and automation. After receiving my higher education in Europe, I decided to establish my career, and I started that career in Europe, working mainly in managing EU-funded projects in the field of higher education. And the first 10 years of my career actually were with the EU. At some point of my career, I decided that I needed to change career from the EU higher education world to the UN humanitarian world. And I remember back then thinking, where do I start from? And I remembered from my childhood, for me, UN was UNRWA. And while I didn't, when I grew up, I didn't study in UNRWA schools, but I did remember the UNRWA school building right next to the school where I attended growing up. So from that thought, I thought, why not start with looking for opportunities with UNRWA? And I've been with UNRWA since 2014. So I decided to move back to the Middle East. I started working with UNRWA at headquarters in Amman. And I have to say that I feel really quite lucky to have such start with UNRWA, because the Department of Planning is actually a good position to start with. You learn a lot and quickly about UNRWA across the different programs. I had the opportunity to work with colleagues from field offices. I really enjoyed working with the field offices, and after a while I felt perhaps it would be good to look at, having an experience working from the field office. And this is where I decided to move to UNRWA Syria field office, where I worked for a few years in different positions. I supported establishing a projects office there. I supported all the programs, and eventually I became the head of program and project support office. Right when I decided to perhaps look for learning more about UNRWA, not just in theory, but also in practice. So I decided to look for the opportunity in Gaza. This is when I moved to Gaza in 2019, and I've been in Gaza since then. I started with UNRWA Gaza as a head of program and project support office until I assumed recently, as of April this year, the role of deputy director for programs. I have to say that it's a very enriching experience. In a few years, I learned a lot about Palestine refugees, about the importance of UNRWA, and I'm really happy to be with you here today.
Oh, thank you, Amal. Thank you for your years of service, the diverse career and the diverse skill set that you've brought to UNRWA. UNRWA is lucky to have you, clearly. You have been in Gaza for the last 3 years. Can you tell us, and with the last 3 years, I know that involves 2 military assaults, and you are certainly then no stranger to some of the obstacles and the challenges that those who are living in Gaza face. Can you tell us what life is like in Gaza and how it differs from other places you have lived? How is it similar? Can you remark on that? I'm sure our audience would love to hear first person what it's like to live in Gaza and some of the challenges you face and also overcome.
Thank you, Mara. In fact, this is one of the questions that I get asked quite often by my friends, whether in Europe or America or any other parts of the world. To be honest, as a native speaker of Arabic and someone who was born and grew up in the Middle East, deciding to move to Gaza was not the most difficult decision I made in my life. So I really was quite excited to go. And the moment I entered Gaza, the place looked familiar. But I immediately started noticing, the impact of the circumstances for many years that Gaza is going through. The life in Gaza on the daily basis, you wake up and you observe daily life being normal. You see children going to schools. You see their going outside to seek income. You see the traffic and loud traffic and of the shops opening, university students going to universities, and we are close to a couple of major universities, so we can see the traffic in the morning and the busyness of the streets. So life seems quite normal because people in Gaza, they try to have to spend their day to the best, as best as they can, which is same as any other person around the world. The challenges, however, the daily struggles and challenges are a bit different. Children who go to school, they don't necessarily have a snack and pocket money in their pockets. Parents who go out in the streets to seek, daily income, they do not know if by the end of the day they will come back with bread to offer. Students who go to universities in the morning, eagerly waiting for the taxi, crossing the road when we are trying to get to the offices, most of them sense that while they are happy to receive education, they don't know if a job will be guaranteed after they graduate. The daily struggles extend to, the basic human needs, such as availability of electricity, clean water, public health system where you can receive healthcare. These are the things that, while daily life is as normal as in any other place, the struggles are really quite unique in Gaza. So I really think that for me, having worked in other duty stations where it was with hardship duty station, I think that every place has its unique circumstances. And I can tell that in Gaza, there is a lot of eagerness to live and thrive. And the support extended by UNRWA is really quite important.
Excellent, excellent. And so in terms of the support that is provided by UNRWA, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the different programs that fall under your umbrella or that you help manage as Deputy Director in Gaza.
Mm-hmm. So the UNRWA pillar programs are education, health, relief and social services, infrastructure and camp improvement program. We also have the microfinance program, and we have an intervention that is protection that needs to be mainstreamed across all programs. So as a deputy director for programs, same as my counterpart in other field offices, I provide leadership in terms of guiding those programs to ensure proper implementation. Of course, with great help and it's a collegial work. I work with the chiefs of programs, with all colleagues in support departments, with management, with headquarters colleagues, to make sure that the identification of needs and the program that we provide and design in Gaza, whether it's the core program of Gaza or the emergency response, we make sure that we make the best investments. We make sure that we identify the needs and design programs accordingly. We really are eager to make sure that needs are identified in partnership with the community. So we really are eager to achieve better community engagement and participation. We have to ensure cross-cutting issues are mainstreamed across all program delivery. We have to make sure that the protection of Palestinian refugees is provided as well and respected, whether it's child protection, handling cases such as domestic violence, gender-based violence. All of these issues are part of the daily program management that we provide. We are quite lucky to have a very strong team here in Gaza, our chiefs of programs, supported quite on daily basis by our headquarters program departments. We also try to look outwards, not only inwards. Part of my role is to actually engage with other humanitarian actors in the OPT with support from colleagues from UNRWA West Bank. We work with others under the cluster umbrella, for example. We work with other humanitarian actors to ensure that we provide with efficiency, that we do not duplicate efforts. We try as much as possible to ensure providing the relevant response to the people of Gaza, whether it's refugees or non-refugees. Our role in UNRWA is work with other humanitarian actors and other stakeholders, including our partners, our donors, to ensure that we care for Palestinian refugees in Gaza and provide the service that is relevant and needed.
Great, Amal, shukran. And I know, having been to Gaza myself recently and every day interacting with members of your staff and Thomas's staff, I can speak from personal experience about the professionalism, the dedication, and frankly, the transparency and the ethical way in which you all go about your work. It is one of the reasons I'm most proud to work side by side your team, and it really is one of the pleasures, the singular pleasures I have in this position is to work side by side your team members and those in the other field sites as well. Although I have to say the Gaza field office is particularly special. And maybe you can tell me a little bit more in particular about when you talk about that diversity of services that UNRWA provides. Maybe we can talk a little bit, dig into a little bit about what UNRWA does in the education sphere, in particularly in vocational training, and reflecting back on the subject of today's discussion, in IT training, in digital skills training. What are those subjects that you teach? And then how do you see these subjects as relevant in the current socioeconomic setting in Gaza? How do you think these skills will help Palestinian refugees, primarily young people? Oh, let's see. I think you may be on mute, Amal. We lost your voice for a minute.
Apologies. I got disconnected for a few seconds. I didn't hear what you were saying. If you could kindly repeat the question.
I Absolutely. I was asking if you could share a little bit more about, you talked about the diversity of activities that UNRWA is engaged in Gaza. Maybe you can tell us specifically about the education and training side, the education and vocational training side, and the kind of, echoing back to the topic of this discussion today, what are those IT skills that you are providing in those settings? How are you preparing young people for the digital economy? And how are these skills important given the current socioeconomic situation in Gaza, and thinking about the futures of youth in Gaza, and how they're going to be able to earn the income that can support themselves and their families?
Thank you, Mara. That's actually a very good question. I have to say that the UNRWA service and programs are provided to Palestinian refugees from the moment they are in their mother's womb. So their mothers come to our health centers until birth, and then once they are at a year of 6-year-old, they go to our schools. They receive primary health care. So we are involved quite in the lives of Palestinian refugees in Gaza all of their lives. The issue of youth is quite important simply because of the socioeconomic situation in Gaza that is really deteriorating quite constantly and steadily. As you know, poverty amongst the Palestinian refugee population stands at 81.5%. And the Palestinian refugee population is 2/3 of the population in Gaza. The unemployment rate as of the second half of this year stands at 44% in Gaza, generally speaking. And amongst those, 75% of unemployment is amongst youth, young people. So really the potential for Palestinian refugee young individuals and for Gazans in general is not many in Gaza. And this is why interventions that are designed to support Gazans by all actors need to be tackling the issue not only of basic needs, but also the potential for development. As part of our education program, as you know, we provide education from grade 1 to 9 in Gaza through UNRWA managed schools. And under the education program, we also provide the opportunity for a technical vocational training. The technical vocational training program in Gaza was established in 1953. And it started with one center in Gaza City that we still have until today, called the Gaza Center. Then we expanded that to Khan Yunis in the south of Gaza. We opened in 2007 the Khan Yunis Training Center. And in those training centers, we are offering a range of courses and opportunities to Palestinian refugee youth. And we always have to prioritize those who are most vulnerable, even in our criteria for them to join our education program. Now, the offer of ranges of courses is either in trade or semi-professional courses. And we offer that for youth after grade 9 and 12. And of course, we also cater for the needs of other age groups. And this is where we provide short-term courses. So instead of having the full diploma from the vocational training, we also offer some short-term courses to help in increasing the potential for earning income for Palestinian refugees. We do focus also on vulnerable groups, including females, including women, and we try to link the vocational training opportunities to the market, both the local market and the global market. In the field of IT, we do offer some training courses, and in fact, we are now looking at ways to modernize our vocational training, to link it more to the global trends in terms of business technology, particularly, and IT. What we are trying to do is actually an extension of an initiative that was part of the strategy, the UNRWA strategy recently, to enhance the technology aspect and the digitalization and modernization of UNRWA services. With support from our department, who is responsible for that at headquarters level, we are now exploring the possibility of supporting Gaza ecosystem for business technology to try to look at ways of working with all relevant stakeholders to support not only the local businesses in terms of business technology in Gaza, but also look at ways of opening the virtual market. You know, with the unemployment rate quite high in Gaza, the economy is not stable, work opportunities or livelihood opportunities are not many, and therefore we are looking at increasing the potential for young IT graduates and business technology graduates to explore possibilities to in the virtual market, whether it's in freelancing, whether it's in IT support. This is the initiative that we are looking at now. We have achieved some successes, and of course, my colleague Khan and myself, when we join you next week, we'll be talking more about that. But we only in 2021, this initiative supported young people in Gaza with 120 job opportunities, wow. And 40% of those are female.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, go ahead.
So we do acknowledge the highly skilled graduates in the field of IT and business technology, yet the high unemployment rate. And this is where we try to find ways of supporting those talented young Gazans and exploring, providing them either with the training, the internship that they need, and support them with also looking at possibility to work with other actors to provide those young Gazans with opportunity to compete in the global market.
Wonderful. And I can say I witnessed myself the amazing students, so many amazing students in IT when I was visiting Gaza and the Vocational Training Center and the IT Services Center. And I saw amazing men and women, but I have to give it to the women. They were superstars. Not only were their skills obviously in ICAD, in business processes, whatever they were working on, clearly they knew what they were doing, but also how articulate and expressive they were in English. So we're not only talking about IT skills, but presentation skills, ability to present yourself well, and very high, very highly skilled in the English language. So that was truly impressive. Before I ask you the next question, I just want to share that we have somebody who gave a shout out to you, Khaled Abu Sultan, who said that you are such an amazing leader, and UNRWA is lucky to have you. And I couldn't agree with that more. So thank you, Khaled Abu Sultan. Thank you so much. And so what I want to ask you about more is those 120 people you talked about being employed. My understanding is those individuals. Oh no, I hope we didn't lose you for good there. Amal, are you still there?
Yes, okay. I'm using my phone and I got a phone call, so that's why I disconnected for a second. Apologies for that.
Very good. Resilience is key, and you're showing us that you can figure this out no matter what technical obstacles are put in front of you, including an incoming call. So what I wanted to ask is about, my understanding is these 120 individuals are employed in the IT service center that UNRWA runs, and I got to visit this space. Really impressive. And can you tell us more about the IT Service Center? My understanding, I think, is that these young people are employed there and they actually serve the IT needs of the UN system as a whole. And Amal, I think you're just coming in on audio. That's fine if you could answer that question if you're still there.
Mara, apologies. I'm just trying to disconnect my line because the person who's calling me is persistent. So I'm trying to sort this out.
If you want to continue, we can hear you even if we can't see you, but we'll give you a second. Let's see. We also had a question from Albert Mukhaber, who asked if you and I are aware of Tech Wadi in California, and perhaps there could be some good synergy with Tech Wadi. And absolutely, we are very familiar with Tech Wadi, and we are actually partnering with Tech Wadi on the panel discussion on September 29th that Amal and also our Chief Information Officer Khan will be attending in person. So we'd love to see you there. Tech Wadi is also a outreach sponsor, an official outreach sponsor of the Gaza 5K event, and they have sent out information about the Gaza 5K to their whole community. And so we hope many Tech Wadiers will be running with us on October 1st and joining us for years to come. As you see on your screen, this is the promo for our panel discussion called the Silicon Coast, expanding the tech ecosystem in Gaza to support really income generation of individuals and ultimately economic development. And again, you see the speakers who will be at this event and sharing their knowledge about this. And those include Khan Sententurk, the Chief Information Officer and Director of Information Management and Technology at UNRWA headquarters, Obaida Abu Hashim, Camera Systems Engineer at Meta Reality Labs, Amal, of course, herself, Leila Abu Dahi, the co-founder of Manara, and Zina Oje, on the operational board of Tech Wadi. I'll be offering welcoming remarks. So we hope to see many of you there. Amal, are you still on audio?
I am, Mara. Let me try to get my camera work. In the meantime, I will try to answer to the best of my knowledge on the ITSC initiative by headquarters. I think my camera is back.
نشوفك ما في مشكلة. يلا.
Perfect. So this initiative actually was established in 2019, and it is an extension of the UNRWA's strategy to enhance the generation of IT amongst Palestinian refugees. The center is more like a hub to provide an environment for potential and talented IT literate Gazans who can actually contribute, increase their capacity with training, but also job opportunities. One of the tangible impacts of this is the contract or the agreement, the partnership that UNRWA established with the UNICC. I have to look at the acronym, what it means. It's United Nations International Computing Center. I didn't want to say that in a wrong way. And in fact, this partnership means, what it basically means that people we employ here, young people in Gaza, will be able to support UN agencies across the globe with IT-related functions. And the 120 job opportunities that I told you about in my previous answer is actually under this partnership, which is quite amazing to see how, when the lack of employment opportunities here in Gaza, sky is the limit, literally. So we tried to basically open up the virtual market to those young people. And because of that, in fact, Mara, when we started recruiting those people, and I was discussing with our headquarters colleagues who are running this initiative, we started noticing that, there are some training skills that are needed to cope with the modern technology and the changes, the quick change in business technology. And this is exactly why we started looking at whether UNRWA is making the right investment in the vocational training program, or whether we could, in fact, enhance that to graduate young Gazans who actually have a better potential or a better foundation for other actors to pick up that education and provide them with the training that they need to cope with the modern technology, and for them to be able to qualify and compete in the global market. And this is why we are trying to create, exactly why we are trying to create the ecosystem, because we feel that, if UNRWA does its share and we try to graduate better qualified vocational training students, then we provide better foundation for other actors to provide the training that they need. And then other actors will pick that up and provide those job opportunities. Of course, other actors and UNRWA with the ITSC initiative. So it is really quite exciting project for us all. We can see the success of it. We can see the talent and the potential. And we see the eagerness of all actors in Gaza to actually take that initiative and other initiatives in Gaza and try to elevate it and try to find partnerships such as the ones suggested in the comment box, and see how we can all contribute in creating those work opportunities for young people in Gaza, even if the environment, the local environment geographically does not allow for it, but they can still work with the virtual market.
Yes, that's wonderful, and we are eager, Amal, as you mentioned, to work, hand in hand, as we already are beginning to, with those stakeholders on the ground. There are some really wonderful partners. Tekwadi, we're talking to in San Francisco, of course. Manara will be on the panel. We are also very well aware of Gaza Sky Geeks and Gaza Gateway and all the excellent work being done in this sphere, and are really eager to work together with all of those implementers and thinking about how we can improve the economic development of the Strip as a whole. So there's a lot more to be done here, and it's going to take a village of actors working together. And just one more question for you today. We'll let you go and take that call, that persistent caller. Maybe they have something important to say. Just one more question for you, which is, how can our audiences in America better support your work? What are some key messages you would like to tell our viewers today?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for allowing this opportunity towards the end, because I really think that everything that we do really matters. And this exact cooperation with you, Mara, and your team is part of the cycle where we really try to identify the best investment according to the actual needs of Palestinian refugees in Gaza. UNRWA is really quite important in terms of providing basic services, but we also should not forget that what young people need is potential for development and sustainability, more livelihood opportunities. And this is why, even with the challenges, with the lack of resources, we always try to improve and innovate. And part of the digitalization strategy is actually to modernize our ways of work. We already started, during COVID-19, we came up with innovative ways of providing primary healthcare, to minimize the footprint in the health centers. So we came up with the telemedicine approach, and it was, the first of its kind in Gaza. We also have online technology that we use and tools for accountability towards affected population, including receiving complaints, comments, trying to engage better with the community, with other stakeholders. So even though UNRWA is over 70 years old, we are really eager to modernize our work and think out of the box and try to achieve efficiencies where they are. So I wanted to highlight the importance of UNRWA in Gaza, taking care of 2/3 of the population, and also to say that the UNRWA is not just a provider of basic services. UNRWA has a stabilizing factor in the economy in Gaza, and this is something that needs resources. The increased needs of Palestinian refugees, unfortunately, are not always translated into increased trends in financial support. UNRWA is fully dependent on donor funding, and therefore your help, Mara, your team, and our generous donors is really quite important. Your role is very important and is vital. I think my message would be to make sure that support to UNRWA needs to be stable and sustained, and we need to remember that there is always demand for more naturally because of the increased population and the increased needs, and we are trying to achieve efficiencies where they are, but we also need to be able to properly plan and respond in a timely manner and in a proper manner, and that is only can be done with support from our donors. So my message is to thank you so much, first of all, but also we hope to continue creating those long-term partnerships with all of our supporters, and partnership is what we are looking for. It's not so much just provision of funding to implement a project. We are looking for real partnership to look for ways to sustain all of the good work that we are achieving with support from our supporters. Thank you so much.
Wow, Amal, that was so well spoken, and I hear you loud and clear. I hope that our supporters in the U.S. and around the world hear your message as well. And I can't help but think of what everyone told me, but which felt all that more real when I was in Gaza, that UNRWA essentially operates as the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Public Works, at the very least, those three ministries in Gaza, because, as you said, UNRWA is serving 2/3 of the population with essential critical needs. And this is de facto ministries of health and education and public works that are not funded by any taxes or state apparatus. They are funded by outside donors, by countries around the world, and by all of the generous donors in our community. So to be able to do that essential work and think about innovation and think about preparing Gazan young people, Palestine refugees in Gaza, for the digital economy is truly profound, and just showing the dedication of your work to do everything which keeps people fed and educated, but also thinking how you can innovate at the same time. So thanks to you, the whole team, for all your efforts, Amal, for sharing all this information with us. We come out of this much more informed about the local situation on the ground. And the ability for a young person to earn an income for him or herself and their family is one of the key factors which can give Palestine refugees in Gaza hope for the future. We also know that mental health support is absolutely necessary to give young people in Gaza who've been traumatized, who are facing compounded trauma, we can say, by the blockade, 15-year blockade, by multiple military assaults, and all the destruction and unfortunately death that has come with these, COVID, and now many more people, many more families in Gaza, of course, are facing hunger with inflation. And I keep thinking of this statistic. I mean, it's not a statistic, it's just a telling story that a 15-year-old Gaza has experienced 5 military assaults in their short lifetime. And just when you think about that, you can viscerally feel the trauma that young people face. So on this particular note, I would like to remind all of those watching to take action. Sign up for the upcoming Gaza 5K happening in the Bay Area and the San Francisco Bay Area on October 1st. If you can't be there in person, like myself and Amal and our colleague Khan, then you can run virtually. Please sign up. And those who've signed up, please fundraise. We want to see San Francisco come closer to New York. New York has knocked it out of the park. I know San Francisco can meet the bar that New York has set and do better even. So please register via the link you see on your screen. Not only will you be fundraising for the mental health of children, but you'll also have a great time and you'll build community with like-minded folks like yourself. As I mentioned earlier, Amal will be visiting the States for the first time, coming out to San Francisco with us. We get to see you very soon. And she will be there, of course, for the panel on September 29th. Thank you, Amal. Again, thank you for all those who tuned in. Follow us on our social media handle @UNRWA USA to get our latest updates, and we wish everyone a great week ahead. Thank you, dear.
Thank you so much. See you next week. Thank you.
Next week.
Have a good evening.
You too.